Lots to unpack there. I think, if we want, where do we want to start, guys? I think Tyler Buchner to Alabama is the most interesting one to me.
I agree. I think that's a great place to start. There are kind of two sides of this coin, and I'm obviously curious to kick it back to you, Trey, and figure out where you want to take this. But on one side, the commentary about, oh, well, Nick Saban is accruing the five, this loaded quarterback room, and he's got all these brand names. On the other side, the comments that came out from Nick Saban's press conference after Buckner committed, he basically said, yeah, we gave our guys every chance possible to win the job in spring ball. And then we went and took another one-time Power 5 starter. My whole takeaway is, guys, Alabama's in trouble with their
Yes.
quarterback spot.
Yep. No, 100%. And we've talked about this. We've had a beat on this one. We weren't impressed with Milroe. We weren't necessarily confident in Ty Simpson, what he brought to the table. You're right. They're in trouble. I mean, who knows what they can really accomplish at this point. They've been able to kind of skate by on elite quarterback talent the last couple of years and really solid defensive efforts as well. And, I don't see a lot of those players on the roster this year. I don't think that they have that same level of talent. And let's put this in the bigger context of college football. They have lost now, if you're talking on the national stage, they have not won the last two national champions. But who has is that team just down the road in Georgia, who, they've won two in a row in the same conference as you. And, you look over, you didn't even win your division last year. LSU came and took it from you in a year where you were down. I don't know that they're necessarily better this year than they are last year. I think they're going to take a big step back. And, with a lot of different teams kind of jockeying for position, I think it's going to take a lot more than Tyler Buchner, who, look, for all that he is, like, we didn't see very much of him. They didn't have the vote of confidence to not go after a guy like Sam Hartman at Notre Dame. And so that should tell you enough, at least, that they felt like they needed to bring in another quarterback. Now, if it's Sam Hartman, I know a lot of programs are going to bring him in anyways. I get that. I understand that when you're at that level, yeah, you're going to take that guy if he wants to come and play at your school. But the fact that the vote of confidence wasn't there and that Tyler Buchner's following his offensive coordinator, Tommy Reese, to Alabama now, that should give you a lot of signs that maybe he wasn't cut out for, some of that higher level competition at the upper end. And if he's not cut out for it at Notre Dame, you got to hope the talent's there at Alabama. I don't see it.
Yeah, and I think if you're an Alabama fan right now, you have to be hoping beyond all doubt that one of your two freshman guys is just ready to go when they get on campus this summer, because it's clear the solution is clearly not on campus. As of right now, they would not have taken Tyler Buchner if they thought the solution was on campus. And like you said, Garrett Buchner is not exactly a guy that lit the world on fire. I know a lot of Notre Dame fans were excited to have him and excited for him to get the first team reps this year. He also is the guy that lost to Marshall, who didn't exactly light the world on fire in the Sun Belt this year. So, I think we've been on this for the last few weeks, guys. We've kind of beaten this story to death, but it bears repeating that Alabama does not have the quarterback right now to compete for a national title. That's just a flat out fact. The rest of the talent would have to completely step up their game, and we'd have to see something, kind of like calling back to what Alabama was before they switched offenses, right? Where they had a lot of bus drivers at quarterback. I don't even know if they have a bus driver right now, though, because the stats that we've seen in the spring games, the stats that we've seen in Milroe's case in actual game action show that just not ready for the prime time, right? Not ready to run the gauntlet of the SEC.
Well, I mean, to be completely fair, I think that Nick Saban is capable of getting his guy to be a bus driver. I think Tommy Reese is a good offensive coordinator who's going to be just fine. The problem is when you had those bus driver quarterbacks, you had guys like Derrick Henry and Trent Richardson and Mark Ingram running the ball for you. You had those kind of guys that you could hand the ball off to and just kind of ground and pound. You had elite defenses for years and years. And that's the big problem is they don't have those guys right now. Derrick Henry's not on your roster right now. There's not a guy like Mark Ingram on your roster right now. They have some really good, talented running backs, but I think as we've seen at a lot of different schools in the SEC, really good, talented running backs don't necessarily help you win the SEC. They don't help you win championships, right? Didn't help Kentucky, right? They had a really talented running back this last year and bad quarterback played it held him back. You got loads of examples of this throughout the SEC year in and year out, where you got really good running backs. South Carolina's had a bevy of them, and they haven't competed for the SEC in years. And so I just, and I'm not saying that they're gonna. I'm not saying that Alabama's regressing to Kentucky and regressing to South Carolina, but they are in trouble. There are some issues, and there are some things I think they need to solve.
Well, and this is a different college football than it was in 2009 or even
Yep.
2012, 2013. I know Georgia is the great outlier, but Georgia has some of the best defenses we've ever seen in college football all time, right? And no one's saying Stetson Bennett is lighting the world on fire or is
No.
by himself going to carry you to a championship, but Stetson Bennett was way more proven in the SEC and way more proven
Yeah.
than, any of these guys that Alabama currently has that could be taking snaps this fall.
Gracious, how about that?